Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of My Panther Pride. Just another episode, me and you, Jesse, today. How you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. Ready to talk some expansion. I know we've been kind of holding off, trying to get our bearings on it, but now's as good of a time as any, right?
Right. Yeah, there's been kind of a lot of buzz about it. I mean, there was a lot of buzz about it all off season. People are just speculation zone all the time on it. They're all going to throw their own opinions out there and what cities they personally feel like are going to be better for the league, and everybody's, it's the internet. Everybody's going to voice their own opinion. It's just kind of how it is.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna voice ours.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do today. I mean, one of the topics we're going to discuss.
Yeah. Well, first off, we went to the Wings game yesterday. Unfortunately, the Wings fell to the Wild in overtime. It was 4-3. But it was a good game. I mean, they were battling.
Yeah, the Wings were beating up the Wild for most of the game until late second period when they got their second goal.
I think we were up 3-1 with like a minute and 42 seconds left or something like that. I don't recall exactly, but I know it happened right at the end, and then it was like, oh man, not like this.
Then they tied it up in the third, and then we went into overtime, and they got a lucky one on us.
Big bum. That was your first Red Wings show there at the LCA, Little Caesars Arena, correct?
Yeah, that was the first one at Little Caesars. I've been to one at Little Caesars and one at the Joe now. Hopefully we can make it to like a basketball game later in the season, or we'll get to another Red Wings game next year or something like that for sure. But while we were there, we passed out a few of our stickers.
Oh yeah.
We'll be
coming.
Catch us out in the wild. We'll have them on us.
Yeah, we actually got some new ones coming in. We're trying to get them cleared through the team right now to have a little thing on there, but got some new ones that'll be coming out, so that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, QR code on them and stuff.
Always redesigning and retweaking and trying to make things a little bit better for everybody.
As the background, we never really, I guess, touched on it. We'll change the background around. So
tweak the background. We're always trying to make little improvements. We're fairly new at this. So
if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Right. Always got to be changing stuff up. I almost slipped up there.
Good catch. Good catch. All right. Well, got anything else to add before we get into this defender talk?
Yeah, no, let's dive into our defenders talk. Okay. Get through that, and then we'll just lean right hard into this expansion talk, I believe.
All right. Last season we played the defenders in week 7. This week they're going to be week 6 coming up. So we beat them 22-9. I mean, you got anything you want to say about the last season, week 7 from last season?
That was like right in the middle of our 5-game win streak. We were gaining a lot of momentum right there. The team was really finding themselves. Like we've talked before, how it's hard to get these teams to gel and mesh with such a short training camp. So like the first couple of weeks are almost like essentially preseason scrimmages where the team's still figuring themselves out. But like the Panthers, I feel like they kind of found their identity a little early on, like week 2, week 3, and we started gaining traction, and we were running downhill for a while.
Like you said, you kind of seen who came together as a team, who was able to, like you said, gain traction and just roll forward. And as a team, again, we say that all the time, but I mean, whoever was able to do that was able to, galvanize their selves and let their record show.
And it's amazing that the Panthers could do that with such, however you want to say it, like with the injuries in the QB room. You know what I'm saying? Because usually your QB, he's your leader of your offense. You know what I'm saying? He's taking charge. He's and we went through 4 of those guys last year in a 10-week season.
I know, but that's also a product of Marcel and Coach Nolan. I mean, they're able to get the guy next man up mentality, and with the way that they were running it last year. I mean, running their offense. I mean, they're switching out anyways. They're constantly switching. It was change of pace quarterbacks essentially. So I mean that played well into the injuries. Sadly you don't want to see those coming, but they had prepared for it, and I think it worked out very well.
Yeah. And this year, with Bryce and Danny Etling battling it out for QB1, I think that's going to be whoever comes out on top. I've heard some chatter about Mike Nolan maybe being a little, I don't want to say biased, but having loyalty towards Danny Etling and him maybe getting that QB1 start
early in the season. I mean, you can't deny him if he's, the competition's going to breed. It's going to the cream's going to rise to the top regardless. So
right.
We'll see if he's leaning one way or another. But I mean, I'm curious to see what kind of footage or I guess not statistics, but reportings we get out of camp to see if he is leaning one way or another.
Right.
Well, with the coaching staff on DC, so we have, let's see right here, Reggie Barlow, which we know of. Not gonna lie, the other fellows aren't too familiar, but we don't delve too deep into the other teams. But
right, yeah, I'm not too familiar with many of these coaches. I remember Reggie Barlow being the head coach last year, and like we were talking about a little bit off air, the Defenders, their record was 4-6 last year, which kind of misleading, and it was like this for a few of the teams, I feel like, in the UFL, where just a couple of plays in each one of these games, they were so close, it could have completely changed the power rankings and who made it to the championship or who made it farther in the season and who had a positive record.
right,
Like, it was a couple of plays in each of these games, like DC or Arlington. Like Arlington, they didn't do very well last year. They had a very bad record, but they had a few close games, like against Michigan. But Jake Bates had that walk-off field goal. And same goes for Michigan. We had a lot of close games last year too. What Jake had, I think, 3 walk-off field goals.
yeah. I mean, those close games, we just happen to fall in our direction. Wow, I'm skipping pretty good right now too. Look at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you look at their games. I mean, even the ones that they won, like look at their game against Arlington, like you were just talking about, 1 point game that they're getting away with, or
right. It's not
right
like there
here.
was.
I mean, they're losing by 5. Yeah, there's not huge margins that they're losing to 2 to Birmingham. I mean, they're not.
They could have
super
easily
wide.
been a 7-3 team like the Panthers.
Exactly.
It was a few close games that came down to a couple of plays that if you would have capitalized on more than the other team, you could have came out on top in those situations.
Right.
It's like a
Which
NFL
I mean,
playoff ball.
yeah, exactly.
A lot
Which
of
I mean,
games.
I feel like they're planning on doing too with all their additions that they've had, or changes they've had to their roster rather.
Right. That's something we were talking about in our pre-show is they're another one of these teams where it looks like about 50% of the roster is new signings. So,
oh yeah,
we've
on both sides of the ball too.
And we've put our input on that before where, how that can be a disadvantage with such a short training camp and such a short season in general.
Right.
So,
I mean, they gotta, like we were talking numbers, what they have to cut through, and I think they're kind of leaning the same way that was it Memphis. They're really pushing towards competition to try flipping their roster. I mean, they held on to the guys who they think are or could be cornerstone pieces, but they're really planning on breeding it from the competition from in there. Really, just seeing who's able to take the spots that are available, and maybe the guys who are there are able to rise because of that competition and keep their roles.
Yep. And even like Coach Holt said whenever he was on our show, with this new hub, it's going to be like for these guys that might get cut, it's going to be easier to facilitate finding them another team during camp because everybody's going to be located right there, so it's not going to be such like, all right, well, we don't need you. You pack your bags. You're on your way home.
Right. They're literally it's a lateral movement if all goes well, to another team. Like, oh, he's not going to have him just come down to our wing of the hotel this week, and we'll talk to you.
Right. What you might have to pack up and move down the hall.
Mm-hmm. But you're still down there. You're getting.
We don't know exactly how it's going to be set up there. If the teams are all staying like right at HQ, or if they're going to have dorms or housing, Airbnbs, whatever.
Right. Well, one guy we know is coming back, Mr. Teamu.
Gunslinger of the offense.
What's up?
I said the gunslinger of the offense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maintaining the team, really. I mean, they got a lot of turnover, but that is, I mean, let's just dive into really the whole offense, I guess. Yeah, he made up for most yards of the team. I believe it was rushing yards as well. Let me see
here.
Yeah. Passing. Oh, no, rushing yards. But they lost Cam Harris this season. So that is a loss for them, even though they're trying to recoup the position. But
yeah, that's something we've talked about before is like mobile quarterbacks. They seem to be almost like an essential key to success in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just this league, but it just seems like it's kind of going that way, just how football in general is progressing.
Right. I mean, you look at even the NFL when it was going to the playoffs, slowly but surely throughout the playoffs, teams with non-mobile quarterbacks started to fall to the wayside, and that seems to be what they're trying to prevent here.
Kind of like our Lions. Like, we're not so mobile, but like look at Philadelphia and the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen, man, that guy really knows how to extend the play.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that makes me very curious about the Rocky Lombardi signing. I know we've talked about it before, but how is he going to fit in, and what role do they expect him to play, and are they thinking that they can mold him into what, like we're saying, a more mobile type?
Sorry, my camera's going all wonky.
You're good, man. But yeah, so like we said, they lost Cameron Harris, but receiving, they are getting Ty Scott back, so they have their number one receiver that is remaining on the roster, at least for right now.
Yeah, he's the only returning wide receiver.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, at wide receiver, yep. In there, they signed Jacob Copeland. So he's had stints with Tennessee, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. That was all through 23-24 season. And then they picked him up in December of 24. And they've signed Saquon Davis.
Yep. New Orleans, Philly, Pittsburgh, picked up by D.C.
Yeah.
24.
Joshua Matthews. Who was out of McNeese State. So he went undrafted in 23, and they just signed him again in December. So they waited till December to really they just overhauled their whole.
That Saquon Davis is like 6'5". Tall boy.
Shaquan Davis. Oh yeah, 6'4.5".
Yeah.
And then they picked up Lynn Bowden. So he was Vegas, Miami, New Orleans in 24, and then they signed him in December as well. So that's slot receiver, and then they have returning as Chris Rowland. So, I mean, almost all their pass catchers, the majority of them are all, new to the team. So they're really going to need this, this training camp to, like we say, galvanize the team. They got a lot of moving parts in their offense.
Yeah, they got to come in focused,
Absolutely.
If they want to have a more successful season than last year.
I mean, hopefully. I mean, not that it was extremely unsuccessful, but having like you just touched on those close games consistently, whether they fall your way or not, trying to capitalize on those few moments that we all know. You can blame the ref or blame whatever, but there's plays that could be made to keep you out of certain positions in football, and that's what they got to work on.
Right.
So I mean, looking on their defense again, I mean, I know we just keep kind of repeating ourselves, but everybody's new. I mean, they out of their edge defender, linebacker, and cornerback, their top 3 spots, they only have 3 people remaining. So I mean, it's kind of wild the turnover that they expect to have, especially on their starting positions.
Right. Yeah, they have 6 people at D line and edge rusher, for each one of those positions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely going to, and then they have 7 at corner. So the defense, they're definitely going to be working for their jobs.
Oh yeah. And they had a few boat races, I believe. We just had it up, but some of their games ended up getting out of hand. They weren't necessarily blowouts, but they were high scoring games in way of their opponent. So
yeah, I mean, they did have a couple of games where the game got away from them a little bit, but not many of them. It's not like they got blown out by a lot of teams, but Panthers, it was like 9-22.
Not to shore up the defense, especially the down low, their box. They definitely are looking to get beefier in that regard.
For sure, yeah.
And I mean, one thing we didn't touch on, we've touched on previously, is their fans. I mean, they have one of the best fan bases in the UFL, and they have since they were in the XFL. With the beer snake and just people craving football. I mean, I think that now, especially the same that our market, because the Lions, go Lions, but Washington, I think it's going to be the same thing. They're a starved market, and they've recently found success. So I think that is going to help develop their fan base in the UFL as well.
Right. Sorry, I had a kid run up. I had to mute it. But yeah, they have great fans there in DC. And I think another good thing about DC is they're at Audi Field. And I believe capacity there is about 20K, which right now for this growing league, that with optics, and even if they only put 10K there, they can still spread them out and make it look good.
Exactly. Like I think I've touched on when they're kicking field goals and there's nobody there at Ford Field because they're packing everybody to the sides.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just, like you said, optically, it just doesn't go over well.
Right. There's this guy on Facebook. His name's Mike Cohen. He runs a Facebook group called the Panthers Den. And he said, we need to start selling enough tickets to where they open the end zones. And we'll just name the end zones the Den.
We need to. Got to get it in there.
Stuff like that, trying to drive ticket sales by opening the end zones, I think is another good tactic that the marketing team could try to capitalize on.
Absolutely.
To try to get,
straight up tell people, hey, we're trying to fill the end zone. Maybe do a special, $5 off if you're picking end zone seats or something like that. It's something, you're still getting the money, and if those seats weren't going to be filled anyways, what's the difference?
Or get you get a free arrow whenever you get an end zone seat. So
or like these. I mean, they give those away at Ford Field. Why you can't change that to red?
Right. What else was I gonna say? I had it. I forgot what it was, man.
It's gone now. And we're moving on.
All
right. Well, the moment you've been waiting for. So, like we said, everybody's kind of been talking about expansion. So we kind of have narrowed down, 4 or 5 teams? 5 teams that we think would be good additions. Some new, some old. So
yeah, we're gonna start off with the big buzz ones that have been around for a while.
The ones who have been in previous leagues as well. And then we're going to go off on tangents where we think they would fit in well, kind of taking in information that we have and other, and content creators such as ourselves.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with the team I'm excited about. So you know who it is.
Yep.
Seattle Sea Dragons, the orange and green. I mean, they were
Orange and green.
They had Prohl, I believe it was their wide receiver when they were in the XFL, dude. And that guy was going nuts. Punt return, kick return. Seattle is an odd market because I feel like that you have to capture their fan base, and you have to capture their attention. Which recently, which we were just talking about, my adopted NHL team, because I was stationed over there, but the NHL Kraken.
Yeah,
they blew up over there, man. So
it's such a cool mascot and name. You know what I'm saying? Team.
Yeah. And I mean, just whoops, wrong one here.
Wrong one. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah, like they didn't already know. But I mean, just a lot of people hated on the uniforms, but just look at these helmets, man.
Yeah,
they
did have a good logo, and the most recent iteration of the logo was the best one, I believe. I think.
Right, but I don't know, man. I just think that they hit the market. The Dragons, everything about them. They're a good team. They got people with money out there in Seattle, especially. You know, they're willing to.
They still have a lease agreement for 1 year with Lumen Field. I think it's Lumen Field.
They changed the name. I can't remember what it is.
But it used to be Lumen Field.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, whatever they changed it to. Man, look at that. I believe Ed from the bottom line. He's in the same camp as me. I think
I'm curious.
Dragons.
If I had to choose like a West Coast team, it'd be them or the other team that we've just kind of speculated on.
Yeah. I agree. They definitely, and especially if they do a hub that ends up reaching out there just to help those markets, which I think would be smart, because right now you're in Texas, which is in the middle, so you need to come up in West because there's just more room over there.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch of times.
Like the gold rush, you got to expand out West.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to touch on the other, team that's already been there, standing team.
Yeah, the Orlando Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I lived down in Florida for a while, and Orlando is just packed with people. You know, but there is like an argument about staying away from Orlando too, because there's so much already going on there.
But everybody goes to Florida, man. I mean, we're in Michigan, so we could probably see it a lot more than most of the country. But most people in Michigan have, well, not most, but they strive to get to a second home in Florida. Now it seems people are going towards Arizona, but there's a huge sport market from just out of state people in Florida. So, and I dig the Guardians. Like their logo, their whole aesthetic. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of their product on the field at the time, but I think that would fill a market. You were talking about Tampa Bay, but I don't know.
Tampa could be another decent area. Or no, I was talking about Jacksonville.
Oh, Jacksonville. Sorry.
There was some buzz on one of the chat groups I'm in that was around Jacksonville, but I mean, like you said, they have the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be a city that would get around year-round football.
Right.
So
it could be a nice spot for a potential championship too. A lot of people would want to go to Florida, you know?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, a lot of people are complaining about how hot it's going to be and how it should be in a dome, and there is speculation that it's going to be in St. Louis this year under the dome again. So maybe, middle of June, they are trying to prefer places with domes, indoor fields.
I would hope so. I mean, we've kind of talked about it. Like their most recent thing is they're saying St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said. So we said it's an 8-hour drive. Sounds better to me.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Especially if they were to try to announce Seattle coming back and holding a championship game way out there. That'd be kind of crazy.
That would be.
I don't know.
with all the
do
teams
that.
over here, they'd have to wait until they're well, established in their expansions if they do go west, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next we got our first speculative team, which I think would be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, but the Portland Fog.
Yeah. No, nobody's told us like this is a city. This is just pure speculation zone by Jesse and I.
Yeah, I'd say the main reason is because of the Sea Dragons, because I feel like they are everyone's number one team who they want to come back. Well, not everyone, a lot of people's number one team they want to come back, such as myself. And like we were talking about logistically, Portland is just so much closer. Like LA, they got money there, or San Diego, who got their team ripped away from them.
Right.
But I think that Portland's a nice spot on that West Coast, but you're still in the, Pac Northwest. So you still have, it's not as far of a travel really if you have those two teams there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Portland is another major city that doesn't have like a lot of sports going on, and maybe it's a market that we're really missing out on, and it's like we said closer to Seattle. So if they had to have like maybe another smaller hub out west, they could have it somewhere in between to where they could bus to each location instead of flying to each location.
Exactly. Or even if they do end up going, like say they go Northern California, they don't go as far as, say they hit something up north, then they can even do that and draw people through California. But
right, getting like Northern California and have like a centrally located hub for that whole West Coast.
Exactly. And I mean, what the Trailblazers, they have a sports, they're a big college town, Eugene's not far away. Like it makes sense. It really does, I think. And Portland's just cool. And look at this bad boy. We got these coming up. So we made these all AI, clearly, but that'd be pretty cool, man. It's got the mountains in the background. That's supposed to be fog.
Yeah, the fog rolling in.
Yeah.
The Portland fog.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had like a different like logo made up.
Mm-hmm. Just obviously.
Yeah. Another AI generated
messing
image.
around. But I think, like you said, I think a combination of I like that.
Up.
Yeah, having like a ghostly or non-corporeal wolf as the fog. I think that's pretty badass.
Right. Yeah, like the wolf bringing in the fog.
Exactly.
And then maybe even the fans could howl.
Yeah, howling at the moon, or the fog's rolling in like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be easy to market over there, especially with the gloominess of Portland in general. I mean, I've been. I don't know if you have, but it's foggy, man. It's like Seattle.
Yeah, I just like Pacific Northwest, man. I've just heard it's just cloudy and gloomy, and there's lots of fog, and it's just, it's kind of gloomy out there.
It's perfect for 3 months out of the year, man. There's like it's barely rain. It doesn't get super hot up there. It's like that's why I went hiking and boating and camping all the time. It's nice here in Michigan because we have access to all the same stuff, but the climate, like here in June, July, you're dying outside.
Yeah, it does get kind of hot up here, man. Yeah. Another place where it gets hot.
Yeah.
Leading into the next speculative city that we've heard some buzz about is Raleigh. We came up with all the team names are just speculative. These are like nothing like set in stone. Everything's just like speculative on
our part. Yeah, this is us just trying to come up with some cool stuff, really.
Right. So yeah, we came up with the Raleigh Reapers.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, just the Carolinas really have. I mean, look at they are university hub. Really, look how many universities they have with all sports. So they definitely have the college and really sport venues or in markets that I think could thrive.
Yeah, I definitely think this could be one that a lot of people kind of just like look over, and a lot of people don't know about Raleigh, North Carolina. But like we said, it's a huge college market. You lean into those college kids and you give them like, I don't know, some discounts on season tickets. I think they're going to love it. They're going to be out there, and I think they'll give the Battlehawks and the DC fans a run for their money. They're going to come up with something cool. They'll have a gimmick.
They would.
They're going to have some kind of gimmick, and they're going to do it bigger and better than the competition because they're a bunch of rowdy college kids, and they just because they can, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like you said, it's the Carolina Reapers, man.
Yeah,
like that would be. I don't know what they can do with that, but that'd be pretty cool. Or like a Carolina Reaper Pepper as a mascot. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, get Smoking Ed, the guy that makes the bread, the Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we got you have a logo, right, that you made for somebody else that we were.
We were talking about Raleigh in one of the group chats, and I pulled this up and I had AI generate this one clearly.
Raleigh Reapers. He needs a pepper for that scythe, though. How sick would that be?
Oh yeah,
a gnarly curved
blade
pepper.
Of the scythe, and just a crazy pepper.
Yeah, but yeah, Raleigh Reapers, man. I mean, it's good location. There's plenty of activity around there, and it's not going to be hard to get if you're already coming up to Michigan and hopefully over to Seattle. I don't think that's too much of a stretch, and especially with the markets. I think that's a very, very plausible team.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then there's one more that we kind of touched on. And that's what could possibly be our next biggest rivals, the Columbus Bulldogs. You put an Ohio team out there, and everybody already knows Michigan and Ohio, we don't get along. We're like oil and water. We don't like each other.
Oh yeah, and like it could be Canton as well. So it could be Columbus, Canton. I mean, that's what football mecca essentially. I mean, it's not like you're gonna have any.
They got the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. That's they got Ohio already has 2 professional teams in the NFL.
In our last episode with Jordan, that's where that picture was taken.
Okay.
At
that game, okay.
With Jordan's last name.
Yep, the one with him
Ducky's located in Canton.
See, so he needs it.
Yeah, Canton or Columbus, man. I know he comes up here for a couple of the games whenever he can.
Is he an Ohio State fan? I'd assume.
Oh, right? I hope not.
I know, but
I really want to.
It really would be a rivalry if they ended up with some colors like this.
Oh, for sure.
They got the red. They got the silver. I don't like that.
No,
but I mean, I feel like they could do a lot with the Bulldogs, though. You know, I feel like
they could. I mean, it is kind of a cool logo, and I believe why we said the Bulldogs is because the UFL already owns a patent on like the Canton or Ohio or Columbus Bulldogs, something along those lines. Don't quote me, but I believe that information is correct.
And they could steal the dog pound from Cleveland. So it's kind of a little bit of, pays homage a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, help grow on some of the existing fan bases there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
because what are we here to do? We're here to stay. Mm-hmm. We want to stay. So getting more people watching and capitalizing on some of them other markets, maybe, like you said, with the dog pound.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help get them NFL fans engaged with a new team.
Exactly. Or infuriate them. Either way, they'll be watching.
Yeah. They're either going to be pissed off that they're taking their stuff, or they're going to get behind it and support it.
Yeah. And how cool would it be, man? The Panthers and the Bulldogs, it would be fighting like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right. And is there a highway that leads directly from here to Columbus?
75, I believe. 75 goes
because I think it's Arlington and San Antonio have the I-35 showdown or something like that. And then now they're dubbing the Memphis. There's a Memphis and St. Louis like river battle or something like that.
Okay.
They're doing something like that. So they're coming up with different ideas. And I think,
we would have to do here. Let me put this up. I don't know. Let me share this. Just Google Maps. But so I-75 goes over here towards Cincinnati, so not Columbus. But with it being Ohio in general, it could just be the Battle of Lake Erie.
That or
in that, well, I guess Pennsylvania. So the Maulers, if they ended up,
yeah. Well, Columbus is right there.
Stead Center.
So,
but anyways, we would. I'm sure that we would be able to come up with something. We can talk crap about. I almost did it too. Talk crap about Ohio all day long. So we'll come up with something good. All right. Well, yeah, man. I mean, I think those are 5 2 at least are very plausible. I think we have made very good points for Portland, honestly.
Yeah, I think that would. I don't know if it'd be a team this year that's like right up as a front runner, but maybe if they do expand in 2027 or just keep expanding in general, maybe year 3 or year 4 down the road, once they start building that westward, that westward presence.
Right. One thing I have thought about, I don't think we've talked about, but the fact that it being a under league, not saying it's worse than, but it's under the NFL in America. It's just kind of how it is. Every other sports league kind of is under the NFL. But I mean, at what point do they see enough expansion to where it's not a detriment? Because I mean, 8 teams is easy to fill, So if you go too big, like say you end up 16 teams, is there going to be a talent problem? Is it going to be an issue like they had earlier? Because now people are wanting to play because they're developing everything and they're getting their contracts and they got their media rights. But what happens when there's the barrel runs dry of these teams? That's just food for thought, I guess.
Right. Like, are we gonna take our talent pool and make it too large to where it starts diluting the product?
Spreading it too thin with the teams, like instead of having
12. What is it? The top 0.5% of all collegiate athletes make it to the NFL.
That's true. So I mean, but you're still it's a balance.
If you get like the top 2% of the athletes that aren't in the NFL, that's still, 50 times 16 teams, that's 800 players.
I mean,
across all D1 athletes, D2 athletes.
I'm sure they could do it, but I just really hope
maybe that's when it's going to transform from not being such a you're only in this league for 3 years to you start seeing these guys that are actually staying in a little bit longer to get that second chance in the NFL. Or maybe by that time we stop expansion at 12 teams and start paying the players better, giving them better contracts, having more of an NFL style contract.
And if that happens, players are going to extend their longevity because a lot of players who, want to keep playing, I can't do it at this level, but I can do it down there if I'm getting paid and I can still do it, in the UFL.
Right. Like Jordan was saying last time, dude, like when you get in the NFL, long snappers, when they're in the NFL, they're maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
So them guys are there for the long haul. Yeah. As opposed to some receivers that are doing 5, 6, or linebackers or cornerbacks. These guys that are more high risk at injury.
Exactly.
That are putting more of their body on the line than, say, a long snapper.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Food for thought.
Definitely is going to be food for thought, and it'll be a continued conversation, I'm sure, for the next year until we hear some news about if or we'll be speculating again.
Right. Do you think that'd be I think that'd be something that'd be really cool if they announced like halftime during the championship game. And that was their halftime show at the championship game. They bring out the coaches and a couple people to show off the home and the away uniforms for the new teams that they're expanding to.
I think that's almost too soon. I would rather at this early stage, I don't want them taking on too much. So I think that I would rather them focus on
the off season.
What they have, and then deal with it when it gets low. I see what you're saying, just to get the eyes out there. But then imagine next year in the Super Bowl, they unveil, 4 commercials for 4 new teams.
That's
in
true.
The Super Bowl,
I don't know if it's something that we've talked about, but it's something that I've heard other people talk about. They used old content for the Super Bowl commercials and then launched this More of What You Love like the week after the Super Bowl. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they had most of these commercials
ready to roll.
I think they should have capitalized on that. That's just my opinion.
They were just trying not to.
Other people in the community that feel the same way.
Yeah.
But it was, on the other hand, it was super cool to see UFL commercials during the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So,
agreed.
It's a win there.
Yeah, I mean, overall it was a win. But yeah, I think they could have hit their mark a little more directly. I agree with you there.
Yep. And, we're just heading into year 2. I mean, a lot of these marketing guys, they have background and everything like that. They're not going to hire just a guy off the street like me to be like, hey, run this multi-million-dollar league. No.
Thank God.
Yeah. There's people that, they're way more qualified to do these things that have been here before. But I think it's just going to take a little bit more time. Yeah. Everybody's still trying to find a little bit of traction. We're starting to get traction. I hope we can really capitalize on Jake Bates in Michigan and try to get some more butts and seats.
We just got to keep it rolling, man. Us, them, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all I got for this one, man.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Like, share, subscribe.
That stuff
get
helps
your
big
W.
time. Yeah.
Use code MPP10. You see, Jesse and I were always drinking our W.
I finish mine almost every time.
Yeah, I'm about to finish mine. You still got your what? Grandpa's Denture Water?
Grandpa's Denture Water, yep. I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to grab next. Waiting for it to go down. It's getting low.
Dub Sludge.
The Denture Water is just good.
It is really good. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
I liked the Blue Tropical Punch one.
Yeah. From the trial or the samples?
Nope, it was it's part of the new Crunchy Roll drop that they got. The Idris Solo, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway.
But
drink your dubby.
Drink your dubby. Follow us on the socials, like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. Throw some comments down below of what you thought. And as always, Panther fans, remember,
let's hunt.
Let's hunt.